Welcome back to Decoding the Flow, your podcast on creative consciousness. I am your host, Drica Lobo, and I'm so excited on today's episode because we are going to talk about how to get obsessed with your art again. And if you don't think you're an artist, don't worry, you can substitute art to any identification that you might have. Just think about getting obsessed with something that you are creating. Before we begin, I really wanted to ask you to subscribe to this channel. That's a very free way that you can support this project. I've been thinking a lot lately at how we get obsessed with our art again. When I'm talking about obsession, it's in a really good way. It's the type of obsession that keeps you going, even if you have no signs of a successful accomplishment of that thing. It is the type of obsession that you cannot stop thinking about that thing. And what actually happens when you finally take the decision to pursue that project or that art or that piece of music or anything that you were trying to create. So it got me thinking, like, what are the ideas that separate the good idea that we think it's going to be a good idea that is going to fulfill our souls? And what are the other ideas that it gets us into the halfway? Like, it is good, but I'm not sure about it. Or even more, what keeps us going, even if everything around us tell us to stop? So many of us have so many ideas in what we want to achieve. And because we have so many ideas, some that we first thought it were brilliant, it may gets diluted. When we have an idea and we lose that spark, I don't think it's because we lose our creativity or we lose our motivation. Sometimes maybe we just lose our attention to that thing. And attention on those days, it's very easy to get diluted to so many bombarded informations and people achieving so many other things that if we pay attention to everything else, hey, hello, of course, our own spark idea is going to be diluted and we're going to lose that spark. And I noticed this even on myself because I have so many things that I wanted to do and I have so many different projects and so many possibilities. I even mentioned in the last episode that everything is possible those days. But the thing that's going to differentiate the thing that is going to be successful completely, or at least you're going to try full-hearted or just try a little bit, is the attention that you give to that thing. And I noticed that when my attention is everywhere, I'm not really going deep into anything. So that being said, I've been experimenting with something very simple that it may be very helpful for you as well, which is removing distraction and giving my best attention to the thing that matters to me the most. So when I say removing distractions, it is not to become a robot. We need to honor and remember that we are only humans. And yes, it's good to have motivation. It's good to have discipline. It's good to have devotion, all of that. But we need to remember that we live in planet Earth. And some of the distractions, it's almost impossible to be completely removed. So I am aware of that. And I'm not trying to convince you another tactic to become more productive, because we know what we have to deal when we all have different lives and different ways that we spend our hours. So I want you to take this with your heart and implement in your life the best way possible. So when I'm talking about distraction, it is the things that removes your attention the most. Of course, we are going to think about either TV or social media. But if you are somebody like me, you cannot completely remove social media from your life, but you can reduce the hours that you just scrolling and you can mark the time and how long that you're going to spend in case you are researching something. For me, my day-to-day works like I always like to prime my morning, at least my morning. I spend 3 hours priming my brain before I even touch my phone. And this has been life-changing for me. I have my alarm clock and then I'll go for a walk. I don't have my phone. Very randomly, I'll bring my phone in case I wanted to film something, especially some footage of the beach, or I want to take a photo or something, but I don't normally put an earplug because I wanted my conscious awareness to be in touch to my subconscious awareness, and morning are the best quiet time, and I like to have no interference between my minds. I will go outside and I'll have my morning walk, and I usually priming my brain with my own affirmations or things that I really wanted to achieve that day. And then I will come back and I will usually take a cold shower. You don't have to, but I love it, especially on summer days. And then I'll prepare my coffee and I'll sit down and I'll do my writing, which is my 3 morning pages, free writing. And that's when I usually set the goals for the day, or either I'll check something that I wrote a day before. And then I'll read a few pages of a book that I'm reading, and that's it. That's 3 hours. I know for some people, they may think it's a crazy hours, but that's what works for me. You don't need to have 3 hours. You can do all of that in maybe 1 hour. You do 20 minutes of each of those things. And I find it's the most successful way to prime your brain to a successful day. So whatever I do after that, I know that I'm going to be locked in. And I know that because sometimes, especially on the weekends, I don't want to wake up super early. And the only reason I wake up super early is first because I love the morning rising. And I also love to have those 3 long hours for me. So by the time it's 9 o'clock, it is a regular day for everybody else and also for me. So I don't expand this morning routine if I wake up late. So once you prime your brain and you remove the distractions from your morning, it is the best thing because that's what's going to create the attention required for you to follow through the projects or anything that you wanted to fall in love with it again. Because to me, attention creates obsession. You know, like when you are thinking about starting a project and all of a sudden, all of the things and all of the information start falling into your lap, especially if you're super excited about it, you start researching and then you start getting answers from a random page that you wouldn't normally look at it. And that's what I think it is, because our brain filters what is important to us. And that's why attention creates obsession, because the more you pay attention to something, the more you're going to see of that very thing happen to you. It's almost like the universe is delivering exactly what you want to create. Think about something that you became obsessed with it. You probably spend a lot of time researching it, talking to friends, playing with it. You noted things about other people that it is related to that obsessions that you have. So you see, the more attention that you gave to that thing, the more interesting it became to you. So, and I think that creativity works the same way. And what I mean by that is sometimes we are waiting to feel inspired enough to give attention, but maybe it's the other way around. Maybe attention creates inspiration. Have you thought about this? So the attention that you have, that's what it creates the inspiration for you to follow truth. And that's why I'll go back to having a very solid morning routine, because I notice how easily it is to get distracted on the very early hours of your day. And the more distracted that you are, the harder it's going to be to bring your power back, to the things that really matter to you. So like, again, you don't need 3 hours like I do because I am a little bit obsessed with my morning routine, but you can give it one full hour of entire attention and quiet time. I didn't even mention meditation, but of course, after all of that I told you, I even do a 20 minutes meditation, and you can call a meditation just simply having a quiet time, simply to sit down and do nothing for 20 minutes, or in the middle of afternoon when I feel that I lost my full attention or my full focus. It's sitting down for 20 minutes just to come back to myself and come back to my own mind. I find it very helpful, and maybe it'll be helpful for you as well, in case your attention gets scattered during your day. And if you're someone like me, you have all of the brilliant ideas, but you have not much clarity in how you are going to achieve this. And sometimes this can give you a feeling of being stuck because you don't know what you need to do. But I find, and I've been finding more and more, that the more that you think about that thing, the more clarity it becomes, and you don't need to have a full picture. All you need is to have one next step that you need to do. I think I mentioned that last episode, and I'm going to reinforce it because this is very important. That is going to be the only way to not feel stuck if you don't have full clarity in how you are going to achieve. Remember, only the next step is enough. And after the next step, then the following step is going to reveal itself. So don't let the lack of clarity, of full clarity, stops you, because the only way you're going to gain clarity is by doing that next step, one after the other. Trust me on that. You are listening to Decoding the Flow with me, Drica Lobo. If this conversation is inspiring you, take a moment to follow the show and share it with someone who is ready to live more creatively. You can find more inspiration, art, and behind-the-scenes stories at dricalobo.com or my Instagram at dricaloboart. Now, let's take a deep breath and get back to the flow. So remember, we are talking about giving full attention to the thing that you wanted to do. So everything else can wait. If you have a lot of different ideas in different parts of your life, myself included, and for a lot of times I thought there was something wrong with me, but this is just the way I function. But I do have to pick and choose to work in one thing at a time. Of course, I do have ongoing projects in my life, and I do have separate times and hours that I work on it. I block my calendar to, for example, Mondays and Tuesdays are for podcasts, and then Thursdays and Saturdays are for admin work. So you can probably do the same if you do have more than one big creative idea that requires your attention. Block your calendar. That's how you keep going. And then once you work on those blocks of times, you have to make sure that you give full attention. And what it calms me down and maybe will calm you down, it's because you also have blocks of times for all the other ideas that you are also working on. I do find very interesting to give my Friday off, meaning I don't have anything scheduled. It's usually for my curiosity to come online or something new that still needs more clarity. I love to have my Fridays sort of a free flowing Friday. I don't have anything blocked other than finding new ideas. So I think that is a really great way if you do have more than one project. Again, if you do have your regular work and you have to find ways to block the rest of your time to work and to give your full attention to your creative ideas. If you don't block the time for you, again, it's very easy to get scattered. And I see this because I live by the beach here in California, and I see so many people when they come here, they get really excited and they call me like, "Hey, Drica, you want to go do this?" and they give me no time for me to schedule. And a lot of times I'll have to say no because I do have my block of times. People don't understand it because I work for myself. I make my own schedule. But it doesn't mean that I have free time to see everybody when they come in town. And I'm sorry, you have to plan ahead because otherwise I'll get scattered somewhere. And you know that you go for a coffee and all of a sudden your whole afternoon was takeover. And sometimes I don't mind to have this free time, but if you do have meaningful things that you need to achieve, I will always say for you to go and do that thing first. Because let's go deep a little bit. I really believe that if universe or God, whatever you want to call it, put something in your mind, and even if you have no idea how you're going to get there, if you can imagine, if that idea came to you, it because it was meant for you. It was meant to be this transformational work because the person who started the work, who first had the idea, is not going to be the same person that finished that idea. This, for me, when I have a creative project, is small or large, I always think of the person that I need to become to be able to do this successfully. And if you do have the imagination in your mind, if you have this idea in your mind, it is because it's meant for your transformation. It's meant for you to do that thing with your full heart. So again, if you have an idea, I beg you for you to follow through on that idea because only you can do the way that you are meant to do it. Okay. I hope I convince you. Another thing that is very helpful to think. So maybe if you're really feeling disconnected from your art, your creative project, your writing, your book, you can always come back. You don't need to assume that something is wrong with you or it's not meant for you because you don't have that spark anymore. All you need to do is come back to yourself and start again. You're not starting over. You simply started from where you stopped. And again, with all of this information that I'm giving you to giving your full attention to the thing that is meaningful for you, I hope it's going to be very helpful. Maybe your creativity, it just needs more of you, your attention, your presence, your uninterrupted time for you to become curious again. And that's what I'm also experimenting right now. Because, like every time and everything that I talk in this podcast, I either experimenting or I've heard somebody doing it and I get curious. Curiosity is going to lead you back to your creative project. So instead of blaming yourself that will create more anxiety, try to get curious again. Why do you even start thinking about that at first place? What was the thing that full you in passion when you first had that idea? Trying to remember that, it's going to spark your curiosity again. Much, much better than thinking something is wrong or maybe thinking that you don't have what it takes. Don't blame yourself because your spark, it got lost. Just slowly come back to yourself and get your curiosity back. So just by removing distraction and becoming more intentional with things that you put it in your mind, especially at the beginning of your day, and you start responding to what life asks you to do instead of reacting from what other people needs of you. And I think that is a very good starting point to become obsessed with your creativity. Again, I want you to get excited again, to get super excited that you cannot stop thinking about it, that you cannot wait to wake up the next day to work on your craft, to work on your business, to work on your idea, because you deserve to be celebrated and your ideas deserves to be seen. Otherwise, you would never have that idea at the first hand. So my friends, this week, I really want you to experiment with that. Choose one thing that you care about. Give it your best attention. Remove some of the noise around it and stay it long enough to see what happens. You might just realize it that you were never disconnected from your art. Maybe you were just a little bit distracted. And this is a human thing to do. Don't blame yourself. Maybe it is just time to get obsessed again. This is your invitation. I hope this episode found a place in your heart. If it resonates with you, please leave your comment below with your biggest takeaway. Share with someone who may be in need for this message today. And I'll see you next time on Decoding the Flow. Bye!